Jai Hind to all. Welcome to my channel Miracle Makers. In today's session, we will be studying class 12, Macroeconomics, chapter Aggregate Demand, Aggregate Supply, and Related Aggregates. In previous class, you have studied about demand. What is demand? Demand is the quantity of goods and services which a consumer is willing to purchase at a particular price at a particular period of time. Now, what is aggregate demand? Aggregate demand is the total demand of all finished goods and services produced in an economy during an accounting year. And aggregate is denoted with the letter capital A, capital T. We know that there are various economic models which exist, but children, in your syllabus, it is only two-sector economy. So we will be focusing mostly on calculation of AD in two-sector economy. But we should know the components of other sectors economy also. So let us study about the components of aggregate demand, which is denoted here with capital letter A and D. In four-sector economy, AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus net export, which is denoted here with the letter X minus M. Now, what does these letters stand for? Let us discuss them one by one. C. C stands for consumption and it is private consumption expenditure. It refers to the total expenditure incurred by the household and non-profit institution serving household on the purchase of goods and services during a given period of time. There is positive relationship between income and consumption. As the income of the consumer increases, they increase their consumption. Now, letter I, which stands for capital investment, which is done by the producers. So it is the total expenditure by the producing sector for the investment, such as purchase of capital, goods, plants, machineries, etc. G. G stands for government expenditure, which is also known as government spending. It is the total expenditure which is incurred by the government on purchase of goods and services in the domestic market, payment of employees who are working in government offices, exports of goods and services, and stands for imports of goods and services. And the difference between X and M, that is the difference between export and import, is known as net export. Now let us study how to calculate AD in two-sector economy with the help of a numerical example. Here we go. This is the schedule which gives us various values. In the first column, we are having level of income, which is denoted with the letter Y. In second column, we are having consumption, which is denoted with the letter C, capital C. In third column, we are having investment, which is denoted with the letter capital I. And in the fourth last column, we are having aggregate demand, which is denoted with the letter capital A and D. And how do we calculate aggregate demand in two-sector economy? That is, AD is equal to C plus I, or consumption plus investment. Let us study this schedule. In first column, I have taken income. You can see national income also, both means the same. At the first, it is 0, because there is no income. Then I have taken 100, and then with the constant difference of 100, I have taken other income also. For example, 100 plus 100 becomes 200. Then 200 plus 100, 300. Same way we will go next 400, 500 and 600. Now come to second one, which is consumption. You can see in the first, we are having 40 when income is 0. So what does it mean? It means that even at 0 level of income, consumption exists, which is 40 in this schedule. And why we are having this 40 at even 0 level of income? When there is no income, then how can we consume? This should be the question, isn't it? But the reason here is that in order to survive, even when we do not earn, we do certain consumption. And that's why when at 0 level of income, we are consuming or we are doing consumption as a consumer. It is known as autonomous consumption, which exists. So what is autonomous consumption? Autonomous consumption is the consumption which exists even at 0 level of income. And then at next level of income, I have taken 120 as consumption with the difference of 80 rupees. So 40 plus 80 is 120. I have taken this 80 as the constant increase in consumption. So you can see that 40 plus 80 is 120. 120 plus 80 is 200. 200 plus 80, 280. 280 plus 80, 360. 360 plus 80, 440. And at last, 440 plus 80, 520. So we can see that when income is increasing, consumption also is increasing. Now let us come to the third column, investment. Here, investment at the first level of income 0 is 20. We assume into sector economy that investment is autonomous. Now, what does this autonomous mean? I have just told you. Autonomous means which remain constant, fixed. And in order to make studying easier, calculation easier, we assume that investment is autonomous at all level of income. So that means investment will remain constant, and that is the reason why I have taken 20 as a constant investment even at different level of income. That means income is increasing, but our investment is remaining constant. Now let us calculate aggregate demand. And how we are going to calculate aggregate demand? Consumption plus investment. So let us see. Consumption at the first level of income 0 is 40 and investment is 20. So 40 plus 20, 60. At 100 level of income, consumption is 120 and investment is 20. So 120 plus 20, 140. At next level of 200 income, consumption is 200 and investment is 20. So AD is 220. At next level, consumption is 280, investment 20. So AD becomes 300. Next, 360 consumption, investment remains same, that is 20, and aggregate demand is 380. Next level, consumption is 440, investment remain constant, that is 20, and AD is 460. At the last level of income 600, consumption is 520 and investment 20 and AD comes 540. So what conclusion can we draw with this? We can see that as income is increasing, aggregate demand is also increasing. That shows that there is positive relationship between income and aggregate. as income increases, aggregate demand also increases. And we are talking here about aggregate demand, which is calculated for an accounting year. That means for a period, not for a particular point of time. So that's why AD is a flow concept. This is very important question, which is mostly asked in MCQ. So AD is which type of concept? It is flow concept. Now let us see this schedule with the help of graph or diagram. Here comes. Here you can see that on y-axis it is AD, that is consumption plus investment. On x-axis it is income or national income. Our investment starts from y-axis from the point R, which is above O, and it is a straight line parallel to x-axis. That means income is increasing, but investment remain autonomous or constant. Now let us come to the consumption curve. S and C is the consumption curve. And consumption curve starts from the point S on y-axis. And the S or S or O, or you can say SO is autonomous consumption. That means even at zero level of income, consumption is existing. That is autonomous constant. And then we can see that as income is increasing, consumption is also increasing. But main point to remember here is that the ratio between increase in consumption and increase in income is not same. Consumption increases at less rate than comparison to increase in income. The reason is after meeting the basic needs, the consumption reduces even when income increases. And this extra income is utilized by the producers or by the consumers as savings. Now let us come to AD curve. You can see that AD curve is also starting from y-axis point T, and it is a parallel line to consumption curve. Why? Why AD curve is a straight upward moving parallel line to C. Why they are not meeting or intersecting at any place? The reason is AD is the sum of consumption and investment. So that's why AD curve will never intersect consumption curve. Now let us write, or you can say study the explanation. Whenever we are solving any numerical of AD or we are representing AD with the help of graph, it is compulsory to write or give explanation of the curve, which is as follows. First, AD is the sum of consumption and investment. Now, what is AD? AD is assumed to be a function of only consumption demand and investment demand. And in which type of economy? Two-sector economy. Here we are dealing with only two-sector economy, which is there in your slate. We are not talking about four-sector or three-sector economy in this new. Second, what conclusion we have drawn? That positive consumption even when income level is zero, that is autonomous consumption, which means that there is always some level of consumption which exists even when the income is zero. Why? It happens because people need certain basic goods and services to sustain or to survive, even if their income is zero. The positive consumption at zero level of income is known as what? autonomous consumption. And how it is written or denoted? It is denoted with capital C with a bar on it. Now, what is the slope of the consumption curve? The slope of the consumption curve is upward. Why? Because consumption increases with increase in income. Now, slope of autonomous investment curve. Investment curve or investment expenditure is a straight line parallel to x-axis, and it is assumed to be independent of the level of income. Now, what does this independent of level of income means? It means that investment is not affected by the income or change in income. It remains constant. That's why it is also known as autonomous investment, which is written in next point 5. Starting point of AD curve is from y-axis because of C plus I curve. AD curve starts from where? From point T as at zero level of income. AD is the sum total of consumption, that is O&S, plus autonomous investment, that is OR. We have already seen in the graph. And when we talk about the slope of AD curve, what is the slope of the AD curve? It is positive. It moves upwards. Why? Because it gives positive relationship between the income. It means when income increases, AD also increases. AD starts from upward because of sum of autonomous consumption and autonomous investment, which we have already seen in the graph and we have discussed also. Now, next most important term is aggregate supply, which is denoted with the capital letter A and S. And what is aggregate supply? Aggregate supply, you know that supply is done by the producer, isn't it? So aggregate supply is the total value of goods and services which all the producers in the economy are willing to supply at a given period of time. So again, in here we are focusing on period of time, not point of time. So we can say that aggregate supply is also a flow concept, not stock concept, isn't it? And we say that aggregate supply is equal to national income, which is denoted as capital AS is equal to Y. Now, why we say this? Why aggregate supply is equal to income? Because during the production process, the producers use factors of production and in return, they make factor payments, and this factor payment is known as income of an economy, isn't it? That is national income. And that is the reason why AS is equal to I, or aggregate supply is equal to income or national income. Now let us study how we can calculate aggregate supply with the help of a numerical. Here we go. This is the schedule in which at the first column, we are having level of income that is denoted with letter capital I. And I have taken the same example which we have used while calculating aggregate demand with certain changes in third and fourth column only. So first column shows level of income that is denoted with letter I. And at the first level income is 0, then it increases constantly with a difference of rupees 100. Here you can see that 100, then 100 plus 100, again 200, 200 plus 100, 300, then 400, 500, and 600. I have taken same value for consumption, which is shown in the second column with the letter capital C. And here also at the zero level of income, consumption is existing, that is rupees 40. And what does it mean? That this is autonomous consumption. And what does autonomous consumption means? The consumption which exists even at zero level of income. And again, I have taken difference of rupees 80 for consumption. That is 40 plus 80, 120. 120 plus 80, 200. 200 plus 80, 280. 280 plus 80, 360. 360 plus 80, 440. 440 plus 80, 520. Now they hit. So this third column, there is difference. We are not showing here investment. What we are showing? We are showing savings. And how we are going to calculate this saving? The formula to calculate saving is S is equal to Y minus C. Now why? Because we have already seen earlier that aggregate supply is equal to income and it is calculated as C plus S. Why it is calculated as C plus S? What is the reason behind it? I have told you that national income is the factor income, isn't it? And this factor income is used for two purposes, either for the consumption and excess of the income over consumption is saved. And that's why we say income is equal to C plus S. And income is equal to what? Aggregate supply, isn't it? So for calculating saving, we can use the formula Y minus C. So when income is zero and still consumption is existing in the form of autonomous consumption, so 0 minus 40, what is your saving? Minus 40. Then 100 minus 120, what will be your saving? Minus 20. That means when income is less and consumption is more or greater, there is no saving, and this no saving or negative saving is known as dissaving. Then when income is 200 and consumption is also 200, that means consumption and income both are same, both are equal. So what will be the saving? 0. And when saving is 0, it is known as zero saving. That means entire income is used up in consumption. And last level, when income is 300 and consumption is 280, that means your income is greater than consumption. So we will start doing saving of this excess amount. And same is in the next level of income. When income is 400 and consumption is 360, which is less than income, so our saving increases by 20 and it becomes 400 minus 360, 40. Then in next level, again, income is 500 and consumption is 440. That is less than income. So saving will increase and that is 60. Last level, 600. When income is 600, our consumption is 520, which is less than income. And it gives us a saving of rupees 80, isn't it? Now let us calculate aggregate supply. And how we are going to calculate aggregate supply? C plus S. So C here is 40 and saving is minus 40. So what will be the aggregate supply or income? 0. Consumption 120, saving minus 20. So aggregate supply 100. Here consumption is 200, saving is nil, that is 0. So A is 200. So this way 280 plus 20, 300. 360 plus 40, 400. 440 plus 60, 500. And 520 plus 80, 600. So we have calculated aggregate supply. Now let us compare this value of aggregate supply with the value of income. Can you see that both are same? At zero level, income is zero, aggregate supply is also zero. At next level, income is 100, aggregate supply is also 100, and so on. So that's why we say that aggregate supply is equal to income or national income. Now let us represent the schedule on graph. Here we go. This is the graph. On y-axis, we are showing AD or consumption and saving. On y-axis, we are representing income, that is national income. Now here you can see that at zero level of income, aggregate supply is zero. But as income increases, aggregate supply also increases and the curve moves upwards, forming 45-degree angle. Okay, so with this we can say that there is positive relationship between income and aggregate supply. Let us see the consumption curve, which will also start from y-axis but above zero, that which shows presence of autonomous consumption. So the gap between the 0 and we can say 40 here. So this 40 is our autonomous consumption. And it is also moving upward, which shows that there is again positive relationship between income and consumption. As income is increasing, consumption is also increasing. Okay. Now, the last curve, and that is curve S. And what is this curve S? Saving curve. Here we can see that when consumption is greater than supply, there is no saving. Entire income is used up in consumption by the consumers. Okay. Then as income increases, consumption is also increasing. And at this level of 100, our consumption is also 100 on this graph. Okay. And here this means that this is a break-even point which represent with capital letter E. And what does this break-even point means? Equilibrium point. Equilibrium point means income is equal to consumption. Here you can see this income, AS graph is equal to or intersecting consumption curve. That means both are same. That income is also 100 and consumption is also 100. So the entire income is used up for consumption purpose. That's why the saving curve is touching x-axis at 0. That means the saving here is 0. And in the left side of this saving curve, there is no saving or negative saving, which is called as dis-saving. But above this 100, you can see that saving curve is moving upward, becoming positive. Becoming positive means consumption curve is below aggregate curve. Isn't it? Aggregate curve means income curve or aggregate supply curve. Isn't it? Aggregate supply curve is above consumption curve. That means income is greater than consumption. So this difference between aggregate supply curve or you can say income and consumption curve is saving. That means the excess of income is used for saving purpose. And again, here we can say that income or aggregate supply curve is moving upward positively. And here saving curve is also moving upward positively. Okay, so now let us see the next diagram of aggregate supply. which shows that which type of relationship is there between the national income and aggregate supply? Positive. How we can say that there is a positive relationship? By seeing this graph. And this graph is starting from the origin, forming 45-degree angle. That means when income is increasing, aggregate supply is also increasing. So in today's session, we have studied about the aggregate demand. We have studied about the aggregate supply. But as I have told earlier, whenever we are using diagram, it is important to give explanation. So let us go for the explanation of the aggregate supply curve. We'll see the relationship between the income and aggregate supply. So first, consumption is a positive function of income. As income increases, consumption increases. This we have also studied in aggregate demand, that when income increases, consumption also increases. But the ratio of increase in consumption is less than comparison to the increase in income. Saving. Saving is a positive function of income, which means that when income increases, saving also increases, and vice versa. After a certain level where consumption is equal to saving, that we have already studied in graph. So which type of relationship is there between the income and saving? Positive relation, isn't it? Now, on the basis of this, we can derive 3 subpoints. What are they? First, or A, saving may be negative. That means this saving. And when this saving will exist? When the level of income is low than comparison to the consumption. And that was before break-even point. We have seen in graph, isn't it? Before point E, consumption was greater than income. So this portion is known as this saving. Second, when consumption is equal to income, C is equal to Y. At what point? At point E, that was 100, isn't it? Rupees 100 income was equal to rupees 100 consumption. So their saving was 0. Third, now saving starts becoming positive or increasing because their consumption is less than income. That means income is greater than consumption. And when does it exist on graph? After the point E. And third point, aggregate supply is same as income. This we have already seen because of factor payment, isn't it? And that's why we call aggregate demand as national income also. And how aggregate supply equal to national income, and how aggregate supply is calculated? C plus S. That means consumption plus saving, or we can say major portion of income is utilized for consumption and the rest is used for saving. And what is the shape of the curve? It is upward straight line forming 45-degree angle from the origin. So children, with this, we come to the end of this session. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you very much.